Of 2 degrees to 36 degrees centigrade now here in the central province of Thailand. Famous for its bamboo and rattan basketry and its local chiffon soft cake, which I've enjoyed a little bit of. And also, if you visit it, you'll be lucky enough to see the Thai Farming Museum, would you believe. You can learn how to farm rice here in Thailand. This is a beautiful day, but it's a hot day, it's a humid day. What the riders have found is that the way to deal with it is to have massive ice baths. Sounds a frightening experience, doesn't it, lowering yourself into a massive ice bath as soon as you've come absolutely sweltering off the track. We saw the sort of state that Romain Febvre was in after that MXGP race. It's going to be interesting to see how the world champion fares in race 2. First, of course, we've got MX2, which is once again Jeffrey Hurling's looking for a 100% record. I'm watching keenly here. I'm Jack Bernicle, and alongside me I've got Rob Andrews, and we may actually have, look at this, we have Union Jacks here, ladies and gentlemen, just to let you know that Tommy Searle and Sean Simpson actually have fans here keeping an eye out on them. So too number 919, the luckless Ben Watson, who went out late of race 1 and didn't score any points.
Hello and welcome to race 2 here of the MX2 class. Hopefully the guys have recharged their batteries, hydrated, drank loads of water. But I want to speak to Alexander Tonkov about the first race. Great performance in that first race for you. Just tell us about it.
Oh, it was a tough one, definitely. I have a good start finally, and was able to keep the speed, till almost like till the half a motor that I was happy already. But, the bike working great, and we see how it will be the second motor. For sure, it will be the toughest one, I think, of the season, but we're ready.
So how much energy do you guys have to save in that first moto, or do you just go full gas?
Save, I think nothing left, so we try to recover as quick as we can, and hope, we can survive second moto too.
Good luck, thank you. Now I want to speak to someone that's been fast all weekend, in fact, on his factory TM. It's Samuele Bernardini. Samuele, hiya. Great first moto for you. Just tell us about it, because it was quite eventful, wasn't it? You had no goggles at one point. You had a coming together with Oslan as well.
Yes, the first race not so bad, good start, but after 2-3 laps, one problem with the Google, and finish 8 now, difficult race because too much hot, but test, full gas push the first lap, and I don't know.
See what happens.
Sorry?
And see what happens.
Yes, now test, but for me difficult because no, I like hot, but this is a race today.
Good luck, Samuele. Thank you very much. Time now for MX2, race 2.
See, interestingly enough, an Italian who you'd expect to actually enjoy hot races doesn't enjoy it that much. Hurlings, Paturel, Anstey, Tonkov, Siwa, Jonas, Petrov, Bernardini, Samuele. I like that expression. Samuel of the Wellingtons. Samuele Bernardini in 8th place. This was, of course, yesterday's result. We've now got the second race of MX2, and we've got the moment Jeffrey Hurling's on 75 points. He's got a full house, 3 race wins out of 3 after Qatar. Can he move on to 100 points? Well, it's very possible. That's the man to do the damage. Welcome back to Thailand, and this is the starting lineup for the second MX2 race. Incidentally, it's devoid of Dylan Ferrandis. You remember the Frenchman rode strongly in Qatar last weekend and finished second to Jeffrey Hurlings. He remains, however, on 44 points because, bless him, he dislocated his shoulder. He didn't actually crash in yesterday's qualifying race. He just landed harshly, dislocated his shoulder, and is unable to compete today. So anyone on a Kawasaki at the moment, it seems to me, is running the risk of ill fortune because of what's happened to Desal, what's happened to Ferrandis, what's happened to Tixier, who of course is out still with a problem, with an injury lingering from last year. So it's I think if I was Tommy Searle, I'd be a little bit concerned because he's left Thailand in tatters for the last 2 years. Let's hope that he remains safe and secure. Jeffrey Hurling's on pole position, chooses the inside line alongside Benoit Paturel. Number 152 Peter Petrov had a good first race. He's currently 5th in the championship now, a point ahead of his fellow Kawasaki rider rider Dylan Ferrandis. Hurling's on 75 points. Paul Jonas and Alexander Tonkov tied on 52 points in second place. That man Thomas Covington on 32 points lies 8th in the championship table, 1 point ahead of Brent van Donink and Benoit Paturel.
Excuse me, interrupting you, Jack. You can see Bernardini there's got a bag of ice around his neck, trying to combat the heat here in Thailand.
And the ice is playing a major part here. Obviously, guys know what they're after. Alvin Ostlund, how impressive was this 18-year-old in the first race until he had that one nasty moment. Just tried to get himself in front of a back marker to grab an inside line. It was kind of half high-sided over the rut and went down. That cost him 7th place, but I'm sure he'll be ready to go here in race 2. Let's hope it's a comfortable one and a clean one. Brent van Donink went out of the first race on bike number 172. He's now down in equal 9th place with Benoit Paturel, who had a good first race. What's to come in race 2? This is MX2. This is Safan Barri in the central province of Thailand with 84 on pole position. That is the red plate of championship leader, series leader and former champion Jeffrey Hurlings. The Dutchman we know will be powerful off the start. He times his drive so well. He has the shortest route to take to the first turn, but he's got beat to it this time. Paul Jonas gets there first and made just a neck and neck for the whole shot, the Fox Whole Shot Award. I think Jonas might have got it this time and put himself in a strong position as Hurlings goes for a huge sweep around the outside in turn 2.
Looks like Covington was down on turn 2 on the inside there, Jack, on that right-hander. Bernardini again, 321, round the outside of Hurlings.
Hurlings went for a huge sweep round turn 2 and picked himself up 3 or 4 places after a relatively modest start. Bernardini, the Italian, has managed to cut him out when I thought he was going to make it a Red Bull KTM 1-2. Jonas leads then. Bernardini's TM in second place. He's sandwiched between the 2 Red Bull KTMs. The Italian hoping that those roll-offs on his goggles, which he was taking a quick tug at in mid-air there, will actually stay intact. He said to Lisa, just go for it, full gas on the first lap and then see what happens. That doesn't sound to me to be the soundest tactic in this heat, Robert.
No, you have to pace yourself a little bit. It's very, very hot here, very humid as well. But Bernardini, despite saying that he didn't particularly like the heat, he has been going good all weekend. He was very, very fast in the opening couple of laps of the qualification heat yesterday. On Saturday, he did fade back a little bit, but it was only for gate pick. But he's in second there on the blue bike, 321, chasing Paul Jonas, who was in with a shout of winning the championship last year, of course, once Hurlings went out injured.
Jorge Zaragoza in 4th place. 5th place is Alvin Ostlund. What a start for the Swede. Brian Bogers, as the Dutchman, is in 6th place. Alexander Tonkov is in 7th. And once again, the Brits have handicapped themselves with poor starts. Max Anstey down in 14th place, Ben Watson in 16th.
Bit of ripping gone on between races here at this this very hot man-made track here in Safan Barri, and you can see that it's got quite cloddy, hasn't it? But Hurlings passed Bernardini. Hurlings getting good drive out there. Hurlings nearly off.
Whoa, a huge mistake by Hurlings as he threw it across the finish line tabletop. Wow, he was lucky to get away with that one. That was sketchy.
Come on, Jeffrey, you don't want another season, a 3rd season affected by injury.
So that was some moment. Jonas Bernardini, a shaken Hurlings. Tonkov is the next man up. Bogas in 6th, Ostlund 7th, Siwa, Brilyakov, Paturel down in 10th place after fighting for 2nd in the first race.
Let's see this, see what he does here. He just gets a kick off there, both feet off, very lucky, and also lucky not to collect Bernardini behind him.
Wow, yes, that was a proper trouser soiling moment then for the double world champion.
What you're getting here, as this track's drying out, you're getting these clods of clay that are drying. Parts of the corner are still kind of wet, the dark areas, and then when it's drying off, you're getting these hard sort of apple-sized balls of clay, which are very, very slippy. And the jump faces, as you can see, are drying out. They're becoming very, very slippy as well. Difficult, unpredictable surface.
So that's Hurlings lying in 3rd place. Alexander Tonkov, who was quietly confident before this race. There he is running in number 59, running in 4th place. 101 Zaragoza, 189 Brian Bogus. There's number 91 Jeremy Seawer. Max Anstey has ploughed his way through the 10th already, I beg your pardon, the 12th place already, ahead of Ivanov, Hust, Petrov, Van Donink, Getterman, Watson down to 18th place, not finding the pace early on. This is Jeremy Seawer, who had a really strong first outing, remember.
Seawer looking good this season, very in control, picking good lines. He suffered here last year in the heat, of course. He was one of the guys that did suffer from heat exhaustion, but all the riders seem to be coping a little bit better with it this year, even though it is actually hotter than it was at this event last season.
So this is MX2, 25 minutes and a half plus 2 laps to go, and at the moment Paul Jonas looking very comfortable at the front. So Jonas, after making a complete hash of his start last time, had that bail off going into the second turn. Bernardini showing that the TM is every bit a match for the KTMs. So at the moment we've got 2 Austrian machines sandwiching that beautiful blue Italian one.
So I don't think you should perhaps read too much into Hurling sitting there in 3rd at the moment. It's a long race, and I think Jeffrey's game plan this year is to not try and win every race by 30 seconds, although some he has been, but to take it steadier and just try and stay in one piece. He's got the talent to be able to beat these guys without really pushing that hard. If you look at his lap times, at the moment Jonas is doing 1:45. Hurling's was a good couple of seconds faster than that in the first moto.
So these are the front 3, in fact the front 4, as the next man, Tonkov, comes over the hilltop. Zaragoza's in there as well. Brian Bogus is a surprise man, because Bogus of course didn't have such a good outing first time around, ended up down in 19th place with a very meagre 2 points to his credit. Here's Hurlings now attacking the TM and the stocky little Italian as they surge almost, and he's going to try it again. It may not have worked last time, it didn't work this time, because Bernardini just comfortably swoops round the outside and holds the Dutchman off. Oh, Bernardini then makes a hash of that outside line. That's a similar mistake to what Ostland made in the first race, and it's cost him dear, because Hurlings is beginning to line him up now and instead powers around the outside.
That was exactly the same move as the lap before, but Bernardini's not giving up, is he? He's not going to take that lying over, but they're both being caught by Tonkov, and very, very impressive ride for Jorge Zaragoza as well.
At the front then, it's 19-year-old Paul Jonas who leads the way, the 2013 FIM Junior 125 World Champion, the 2013 European 125cc champ, currently leads the race there by half a dozen bike lengths from his Red Bull KTM teammate and double world champion Jeffrey Hurlings. There is Bernardini in 3rd place. 4th place, as I mentioned, is Tonkov, and then that impressive ride by the number that Ben Townley always used to carry in his heyday, number 101, the 19-year-old Jorge Zaragoza from Valencia. Jonas leads, 2nd for Hurlings, 3rd Bernardini. Hurlings impressively stuns that KTM upright and just powers it tight through the turns. He looks so good.
But Jonas looking good in front of Hurlings there. You know, Jonas was having such a good year after Hurlings went out. He really took up the mantle for KTM. He had the red plate last year for 2 GPs from Lommel until Assen. He did get a moto win in Mexico as well, but then had an enormous Chad Reed style crash over a jump. Here we're seeing Tonkov up the inside of Bernardini, is it?
Yes,
Tonkov
and he's going to make it stick. Tonkov beautifully slips through then. So Tonkov on bike number 59 gets his Yamaha past the TM into 3rd place. And he could be on the move. There's number 99, Max Anstey, on the Rockstar Husqvarna. So Anstey trying to move through the pack. He's into 10th place now, ahead of Ivanov and Robert Hust. So he's having a good ride from that extremely modest start. There is Benoit Pacharel having to make up ground this time. Not so easy round here. He's in 8th place, behind Jeremy Seawer and ahead of Alvin Ostlund of Sweden. And Ostland has been caught by Max Anstey. Anstey needs to be in the groove and on the move, because he's down in 19th place in the championship with a mere 11 points after 2 DNFs out of 3 races. There is the man ahead of him, Pacharel.
Anstey was one of the stars of the second half of the MX2 season. Anstey up the inside. Did he make the pass there? We didn't see that. But at the front, Hurlings has got past Jonas. So Hurlings into the lead, past his teammate.
Hurling stalls into the face of his teammate there. That was a cruel pass. With Jonas ducking his head against that hail of roost. So now Jonas will have to deal with Tonkov, because Tonkov, looking very, very impressive in third place, looks keen to make a move. He expressed some doubt. There's the fastest lap, 1:43.35, and this was the pass.
This is where we see it over the jump. Hurlings keeps it a little bit lower. He's on the inside coming to the next right-hander. But Jonas does have a good run around the outside, but it's just the shorter route for Jeffrey. Maybe that back marker there came into play a little bit. I don't know. I think Jeffrey just had the inside line.
That was Yan Hao Zhu of China, who was getting lapped already in with 20 and a half minutes plus 2 laps to go. And that was the perfect illustration of using slightly less airtime. What was it that the great Graham Noyce used to say? As we check back on the
start again, because it was Jonas that got the jump from the inside, number 41. There you see he's moving across, and Covington 64 on the Husky inside of him. 3:21 on the blue bike, that was Bernardini. But and Paturel stands himself up in front of Anstey, so Anstey just got a bad start. Covington just disappearing off to the left there. I think he went down in the second corner.
Yes, there's the bike. There's the bike on the right-hander picture.
So Covington dumped itself there. Damon Growlers as well. Anstey just got a bad jump out of the gate. So not a good start to the season for our Max, unfortunately.
And at the moment, Thomas Covington is down in last place. I don't know whether he's actually pulled out, but it looks like curtains for Covington after such a gallant first race. Jeffrey Hurling's then in the lead. What I was going to say was the great Graham Noyce used to say, what's the point of spending a lot of time in the air? All you can do is fiddle with your private parts while you're up there. Only he put it slightly differently than that. Jeffrey Hurling's number 84, Red Bull KTM, leads his teammate, Paul Jonas. And he will be getting threatened by Alexander Tonkov. There is Tonkov flying over the tabletop behind him, and there also Samuele Bernardini. Zaragoza still having a good ride on 101 in 5th place ahead of Jeremy Seawer, Brian Bogus, Benoit Paturel, who is being hauled in by Max Anstey. And this is the battle now beginning to develop for 2nd place. Tonkov is really showing some good pace.
He's really coming to grips with it, isn't he? Making the switch this year from the factory Husqvarna team. Last year he missed part of the season with injury after being up into 4th place in the championship and actually winning a moto in Majora. And then he was out with injury, just losing the traction a little bit there, but he's doing well.
I was just going to say, he clicks it beautifully through the rhythm section. Lovely style. So Tonkov really on the case on the Wilvo Standing Construct Yamaha, bike number 59. He's running 3rd, and he's trying to run down Jonas in 2nd. Welcome back to a red hot, in every sense, 2nd MX2 GP race here. There is number 321, Samuele Bernardini. He's on the factory TM. He's running in 4th place. Number 41, Paul Jonas, and a faller there is the man who was challenging for 2nd place. Tonkov's gone down, and he's let Jonas off the hook, and Bernardini goes through. Jorge Zaragoza goes through. These 4-strokes can be notoriously hard to kick back into action, especially when they're roasting, and they're never going to be more roasting than here in Thailand, and that's a big problem then for Tonkov. The confident young Russian from Kungur was looking so strong and was so confident before the race that he could make his mark. He was about to pounce for 2nd place, and now suddenly he's dropping back. There's number 101, Jorge Zaragoza. There's Jeremy Seawer also through, the Swiss rider on the Stefan Everts run Suzuki.
So that's Zaragoza up into 4th place by my reckoning. So what a great result for him.
Well, if you remember, Zaragoza, who's on 20 points now, he had a good ride. He had a DNF, but one very good ride in Qatar. So he's already shown his cards a bit. The young man from Valencia turned 19 back in on the 30th of May last year. I beg your pardon, turns 20 on the 30th of May this year. This is number 41, Paul Jonas. He's now running in a fairly clear second place, and I would think the pressure's off a bit, because although Bernardini, I have to say, at this stage in the race, 14 minutes plus 2 laps to go, the Italian is still setting a very, very healthy pace. 46.2, he was only a tenth of a second outside Jonas's time on the last lap. It's just Hurlings who's mincing them. He's doing low 42s, so he's lapping 4 seconds quicker than the opposition. That's frightening. So Alexander Tonkov had that fall. I don't know whether we're going to get to see. Here it's no. I thought for a moment we're going to get to see, is this what happened? Tonkov may have gone down in this left-hander here. No, beg your pardon. I think he's back on. I think we're back live, and this is Tonkov now having to fight his way back through the track. He's down in 9th place. So Tonkov is between Bogas and Alvin Ostlund, with Robert Zeus, Brent Van Donning behind him, Zevolod Brilyakov. Ben Watson still running in 16th place, going neither here nor there. Let's hope he actually gets some points this time around. So Tonkov, he's remounted, but he's got work to do. He's got Bogas ahead of him, but he's got a little bit of a gap to make up.
He'll be furious because he was running so well, and he's now back into 9th place. And when you have a crash or a problem like that in this sort of heat, and you have to pick the bike up and start kicking it, because there's no electric start on the Yamahas. It's only the KTM 250s that have the electric start, and the Huskies as well. So the heat is just going to rise up and just absolutely exhaust you. It's not so bad when you keep moving and you've got the wind blowing through your helmet to cool you down, but it'll take him something to compose himself again and get back up to speed.
So there he goes, ripping round on that snarling Yamaha, and well, he looks to me like he's got a certain degree of confidence and speed back, but he has got quite a gap to the 19-year-old Brian Bogas, the Dutchman on the HSF Logistics Motorsport KTM. Meanwhile, on the Red Bull factory KTM, it's Red Bull's main man under the stewardship, of course, of the new KTM hands-on team manager for 2016, 5-time world champion and utterly lovely bloke, Joel Smets.
Yeah, a little bit of a change around there. Smets was working for Suzuki. Everts, of course, Stefan Everts taking over the factory Suzuki squad this year, and so him swapping places with Joel Smets,
his former great rival. So they still continue to be great rivals. Paul Jonas, also running for Red Bull KTM, is comfortably in 2nd place, albeit 15 seconds adrift of teammate Hurlings. And Samuele Bernardini, that is a really strong 3rd place he's running at the moment. Zaragoza still 4th. Jeremy Sewa running in 5th place.
You can see that Jonas has a drink system there. He's got a pipe going from like a backpack type thing in through the front of his helmet, so that he can take on fluids through the race. I'm not quite sure. I've never used one of those myself. I'm not quite sure how they would decide at what point they need to take all the fluids.
Tonkov has moved past Brian Bogas, so he's now into 8th place. So he's putting the pressure on, and he's catching the man he had a great duel with in the first race, and that's Benoit Paturel, number 6, running in 6th place. There's Tonkov going through the picture. So there's Benoit Paturel, Max Anstey, Alexander Tonkov. There's number 91, Jeremy Sewa, on the MX2 GP factory Suzuki. He's running in 3rd place. He's got the better of Bernardini. Bernardini's fading at last. Jeremy Sewa running in 3rd place now then. Hurlings and Jonas in the distance, but this young man is now... Do you know what I love about the Swiss riders? And remember that we're welcoming back a Swiss Grand Prix for the first time in 15 years this year, which is wonderful. Going back to Frauenfeld, which hosted 3 successive Swiss Grand Prix back in 1983 and 2, 3 and 4. As we look at Brian Bogas is in trouble now. He lost a place. The 19-year-old Dutchman casts away his goggles. Always a dodgy thing to do. He lost a place on the HSF Logistics KTM to Alexander Tonkov on that previous lap, and I think he may have made a little bit of, he may have had a little bit of a moment there to allow him through. There's Bogas.
I've been in that situation myself, but you can never say that it's a good thing to take your goggles off. No matter how bad your vision might be in a mud race, once you take your goggles off, you've got no protection then. You get mud in your eyes and you can't see anything.
Or in this case, dust. Dust can be evil stuff. I know this from being trackside, taking photographs, how evil it can upset you then. There's Benoit Patureau going past in 6th place. 7th, Max Anstey, number 99.
Zaragoza next.
So is Zaragoza slipping back downfield, or is he still in front?
He's down to 7th, Bernardini in 5th, so you got Hurlings, Jonas, Siwa, Patureau, Bernardini.
And a problem,
Has Bernardini out? Or
Bernardini came into the pits. He's rejoined. I wonder if he's coming to collect goggles. Bernardini has made a momentary pit stop, shakes his head in mid-air on the factory TM. So the stocky bearded Italian has hit some sort of problem with just 8.5 minutes plus 2 laps to go.
Well,
checking back 161. This is the young teenage Swede Östlund. He looks a tall, leggy lad. So like so many of the tall Swedes that we had around in World Championship competition in the 70s and 80s. Meanwhile, Siwa, what I was going to say about it's great to have a Swiss Grand Prix back, because we used to get huge crowds at Swiss Grand Prix in the 70s and 80s and 90s, even though they had no decent home riders. Well, they did have Mark Ristori's dad, Louis, and Arno Tonus's dad, Charlie Tonus, but they were kind of mid-pack lads. Now, of course, they've got kids like this who can run near the front, so they really deserve to have a Grand Prix back in Switzerland. They've always had powerhouses of sidecar men, of course, but that's a whole different...
I remember them being very good at the sidecars, but as you say, Jack, they never had anybody outstanding in the solos, but they did have some absolutely fantastic tracks, and it is great to be back in Switzerland. Let's hope it's a good track and we have good racing. Looking forward to it.
I know 3 men who'll say it was a good track, because they were the 3 guys who won there, and what names they were. Eric Gabors and Johnny O'Mara on a flying visit in a break in his AMA schedule in 1982 demolished the Europeans at Frauenfeld in a 125 GP, and then their only 250 Grand Prix was won by a lovely man, a big German guy called Rolf Diefenbach on a Honda in 1983, and that was it. We didn't see Frauenfeld again. The great Swiss names, Payern, Roggenberg, Wohlen. Oh, Jonas having a moment that'll have broken a bit more sweat out on that brow.
You can see in between those jumps, it's drying out, it's getting very marbly, difficult to get the traction down.
And I think he's sensing the fact he was about 1.5 seconds slower than Jeremy Siwa on the last lap. I think he's in every sense feeling the heat from the Suzuki. Jeremy Siwa is beginning to close that gap a bit.
They're all
they're making mistakes.
A little bit more tentative, aren't they? But yeah, you know, this heat is going to affect them. It's going to affect not only your strength and your stamina, but your judgment as well.
Let's check the order, because we've had a few movements. Siwa's there's the man in 2nd place, Jonas, being pursued by Siwa. Benoit Patureau is now in 4th place. Max Anstey 5th. Alexander Tonkov in 6th. Zaragoza 7th, ahead of Östlund and Van Donink. 10th place now for Samuele Bernardini, ahead of Brilyakov, Bolgers, Robert Just, Petrov. Ben Watson now 15th, ahead of Karel Kutsar and Mikhail. Ivanov's just been passed by Damon Growlers, the Belgian trying to make ground after that first lap mishap.
There's Brent Van Donink on the move on the Kemia Yamaha. He was the only guy really moving forward in the second moto last week in Qatar, so...
Meanwhile, Benoit Patureau is being caught by Max Anstey. So the son of swerving Merv really making a strong move on the Rockstar Husqvarna. Swoops around the outside. Can't quite make it stick. The Frenchman tries to close the door and does. So the vastly experienced Max Anstey, bike number 99. Can he find a way through? Surely he can find a way through. Max, of course, who's been strong in the USA as well as in Supercross. He's been twice the Prince of Bercy on his 85cc Kawasaki as a mouthy young kid. And he's getting alongside Benoit Patureau, and he's certainly put the Frenchman well to sleep there. So through goes Max Anstey into 4th place. Great ride then by Anstey, desperate to make up ground after suffering 2 DNFs in 3 races. He needs the points. The more, the merrier. He's now 4th.
Just talking about Anstey, you know, he was one of the stars of the second half of the MX2 season last year. He only finished third in the points, but he finished 52 points off the lead, but he had 6 no scores through the championship. If he'd have only just had 12ths in each of those 6 DNFs, he would have been world champion.
Yeah,
points.
Now that is something, isn't it?
All he needed was 6 12ths rather than the DNF. Some of them were mechanicals, which he's got no control over, but likewise he crashed out of the lead a couple of times.
Yes, vital moments, moments. And look, he's been given the urge on 3.5 minutes to go. Has Max got it in the tank to be able to move any further forward? His last lap time of 44.5 was a second. I beg your pardon, his last lap time was, no, it wasn't any faster than Jeremy Seewer, who's trying to run down Paulus Jonas in second place. So Anstey there on the Rockstar Energy Husqvarna, yet another change of machine. He's very rarely stayed on the same machine for 2 years in a row. I know he was quite dismayed when Steve Dixon's team moved from a Yamaha to a Kawasaki for the beginning of 2015, when he thought he was going to be staying on the same bike. And here is number 59, Tonkov, still trying to reel in Pacharel. There's Anstey. Pacharel now under real pressure. Tonkov, the Russian, after that early mistake, is back in contention. And these two had a terrific race for the first half of the first moto.
Getting very rutty in those corners now. Plenty of lines coming up. Is that Tonkov going to go round it outside? And Pacharel holding his line, blocks him out there, but Tonkov still on his back wheel.
It's great to see a bit of roasting dust rising. I like a bit of dust in a motocross Grand Prix.
I think Tonkov's gone through there on the outside of Pacharel.
I think he probably did, and already being lapped again is Michael Grisha Ivanov.
There you go, Tonkov in front of Pacharel. So that's Tonkov up into exchanging places with Benoit Pacharel. Tonkov 5th, Pacharel down to 6th, as per his number on his plate.
Remember, Hurlings leads the championship on 75 points. Jonas and Tonkov joint second on 52. Seewer in 3rd place on 54. Petrov 5th on 45. And then the injured Ferrandis on 44. Next man up is Samuele Bernardini on 38, followed by Thomas Covington, who's out of this race, so will not add to his 32 points. He'll be overtaken by Van Donink and Pacharel in the championship. This is Jeremy Seewer, still looking to try and close the gap.
Seewer past Jonas,
he's past
makes
Jonas.
a mistake.
Jonas goes wide. Whoa! Oh, get on! Jeremy Seewer has, well, was that the passing move? It was a very spectacular one if it was. It was shades of the former World Trials champions going through like that, with a great leg-waving moment.
I think that was a very opportunistic save of a potential crash that he handily turned into a passing opportunity.
Yes. Brilliant save, got the drive, got the inside line. So what a comeback for a man who was in a desperate state after the first moto 12 months ago. Jeremy Seewer now in 2nd place on Suzuki. One of the things I was going to say about him, and what I love about the new generation of Swiss riders, they're such sweet smiling blokes. They don't look as if they'd be, Tonus is typical of them. You don't think that they'd make red hot motocrossers, but because they're such nice chaps, as you would expect from such a kind of cultivated, prosperous country, really. Yes. Jeremy Seewer then. Sorry.
Where there are some riders that don't seem at all happy to be living the dream as a professional motocross rider.
Jeffrey Hurlings has 3 laps to go because he crossed the line 30 seconds ahead of the 2-lap board, but he looks just extraordinarily comfortable. Jeremy Seewer will cross the line in 2nd place, so he's split the Red Bull KTMs. Stefan Evans will be pleased with this.
I'm impressed with the charge from Anstey because, you know, in tough conditions like this, he's pulled through well, as has Tonkov after his early mistake. Anstey's currently got 3 seconds to Jonas, but the way he's going,
his last lap time was 5 seconds quicker.
In fact, he's got Jonas off screen. We've not seen that, but according to our live timing, Anstey's in front of Jonas.
Jonas now is pushed back to 4th place. Max Anstey gets himself into a rostrum position. That must be a relief for him, as he needs every point he can get. 20 points would be richly deserved.
And he's only, how far is he going to be from Seewer? I think Seewer's out of touch, isn't he? think C was out of touch for him, but great charge to the field from Anstey.
Well, there's Anstey. Anstey is on the charge, and at the moment he's lapping a little bit quicker. He was only about half a second quicker than Jeremy Seawer on the last lap, but he has the Suzuki in his sights. There's Jonas being chased down by Tonkov. He is number 99, Max Anstey. Wouldn't it be something else if he couldn't snitch that second place? Anstey, look at that there, just ahead of him. Oh, get out of the way! It's amazing how a back marker will come up right at the wrong moment. That's Damon Growlers, the Belgian. He looks over his shoulder. Does he have the sense to get out of the way? Yes, he does. Anstey then can see the yellow Suzuki ahead of him. He's got a couple of laps to do something here. There is Jeremy Seawer, 91. There is Max Anstey. And Magic Max could yet make this happen for the Rockstar Energy Husqvarna team. What a comeback after a messy first race. And he is certainly getting the fist. These guys believe that he can do it. Max will believe he can. Remember, he's a freckle-faced redhead. You wouldn't expect him to be able to exploit hideously hot conditions like this. But he's all over the back of Seawer now.
It's all in Max's hands because he's got the momentum. He can see Seawer's lines. He's going to go to the inside in this corner, not quite close enough. But you know, Max can see him. He knows it's 2 laps to go. He can see the other guy's line. He can see Seawer's line. Seawer's got to defend. Seawer's going to be down on the fact that somebody's caught him. So I think Max is going to get him.
So Max Anstey, who was 85cc champion at the Bercy Supercross in 2007, 125 champion in 2008, and then remember went off to race in the USA where his father Mervyn is based. He's now back in MXGP, good and proper, and he's attacking Jeremy Seawer with 2 laps to go then. He's got time on his side, but he doesn't want to get, if you get stuck and lose that momentum, then it's going to be that little bit harder to pass.
More back markers in the way. I mean, that could go either way. It could play into the hands of Anstey, or it could play into the hands of Seawer. If Seawer can jump down the inside, which he does, so they're both clear now. So
Seawer's responded. I think Seawer's responded to Anstey's presence here. He's Mervyn just showed him a front wheel on the drop off into that right-hander, and it's just created that little bit of inspiration for him. There's Tonkov, number 59. Tonkov currently running in as the live results switch around. Tonkov's now in 4th place ahead of Paul Jonas. So terrific race after that early fall.
Last lap, we'll be looking for Hurlings to come round for, here he is, 84, the red-plated factory KTM, starting his last lap for yet another double victory if he brings it home over this last lap. Another double victory, dominant victory for the 2-time world champion.
Jeffrey Hurlings leads the way. We've got Seawer versus Anstey for 2nd place. Tonkov 4th, Jonas 5th, Paturel in 6th, Zaragoza another, I hate to use the word because it usually indicates someone's not done anything very well when you get a press release. A solid ride from Zaragoza in 7th ahead of Ostlund. Brilliant again. Van Donnick in 9th. Brilyakov now 10th ahead of Bernardini and Petrov.
Anstey through past Seawer.
And Anstey is through. Anstey gets round the outside of Jeremy Seawer. That's where the action's happening. Anstey, what a tremendous ride. Remember, the lad was about 14th on the first lap. He has completely disproved our theory that you can't pass around here. He's got a superb momentum going, and he has surged all the way through to 2nd place. Now he's just got to hold it on the last lap. Oh, and the mistake was Seawer's then. Got stood up in the rut. Anstey has got to resist the pressure. He's got to remain cool, calm and focused here in the scalding heat of Thailand, and he could have himself a 2nd place. He's on the final lap. Oh, Max. Don't get too scruffy there. There's the number 84, as poised as ever, Jeffrey Hurlings. Didn't even look as if he'd worked that hard. He looked as if he'd been sitting on the sofa watching it on the telly after the first race. He wins the 2nd one. It's the double. It's 100 points in the bag after 2 Grand Prix. 2 Grand Prix victories for Jeffrey Hurlings and a fabulous 2nd place. Can't overestimate how hard he's ridden for that. Max Anstey, if he stays on board to the flag, will have come all the way through to 2nd place on the Rockstar Energy Husqvarna, and will have made big strides forward after that DNF in race 1. Anstey then takes 2nd. Seawer looks chuffed enough with 3rd and will be on the rostrum overall, so he'll be pleased enough with that. Alexander Tonkov will finish in 4th place on Yamaha. So we got KTM, Husqvarna, Suzuki, Yamaha top 4 before the 2nd Red Bull KTM of Paul Jonas. Wow, well, a terrific climax to the 2nd MX2 race here in Thailand. it has to be said. Benoit Pacharel crosses the line.
Yeah, definitely, but start was a little less this time, you know, was a little late, my reaction, and then I tried to overtake Bernardini third lap or something, and I made a huge mistake, was almost season ending again, so it was stupid, it was a stupid move, but for the rest, you know, I did really well, you know, cruised all the moto when I got in the lead, and I mean, it's hot, but I worked out this winter, and for me, it's physically no problem.
Great job, thank you, Jeffrey.
Thailand, after a dramatic conclusion to the second MX2 race, Max Anstey snatching second place on the final lap, gets those 22 points out of Jeremy Seewer, Tonkov, Jonas, Pacharel. Another fine ride by Osland. Van Donink gets in the points ahead of Brilyakov and Petrov. Zaragoza drops to 11th place ahead of Samueli Bernardini. Houston, Ben Watson gets his Husqvarna into 14th place. There's a decent result for the 18-year-old Nottinghamshire boy. And Ueda, would you believe, the slowest man ends up with on track, ends up with a point, amazingly. The Fox Hole Shot Award goes to Paul Jonas. He's now got 2 against Hurling's 1. Would you believe? But Jeffrey Hurlings won't be too bothered about that. Hurlings now has 100 points, leads the championship ahead of Jeremy Seewer, who moves second on 74 points. Alexander Tonkov is clear now of Paul Jonas on 70 points. Jonas on 68 in 4th place. Petrov in 5th place on 56. And Bernardini moves past the stricken Dylan Ferrandis into 6th place on 47. Ferrandis now level on 44 points with Brent Donink. And also, I think I've forgotten Benoit Pacharel is in there as well. But the big earner, Max Anstey, leapfrogs from 11 points to 33. Vaults himself up the championship table. But we await Jeffrey Hurlings then on the rostrum after another great victory. And 3rd place overall goes to the Wilville Standing Construct Yamaha of Alexander Tonkov. Looks slightly disappointed with himself after making that mistake early in the race. 2nd place overall goes to the charming 21-year-old Jeremy Seewer from Switzerland. Great ride by him, even though he lost that 2nd place on the final lap to Max Anstey. And what can you say about Hurlings? He can go as fast as that without taking anything out of himself, or seemingly little out of himself, and proudly say he's been working hard over the winter. He has been working hard over the winter because he's in phenomenal shape. And Jeff Hurlings then on top of the rostrum. That's 4 race wins out of 4, and if he avoids injury, then he is going to he looks as if he's going to mow down the opposition in this MX2 Grand Prix series. Kratos Vongsawan, representing the organisers, presents a trophy to Alexander Tonkov. And Wong Sawan, the vice president, I presume some kind of relation to the gentleman who's just strolled on there. And finally, we get Suphan Buri, governor, the provincial governor of Suphan Buri. You pronounce that name if you can. Very proudly wearing his Motocross Grand Prix sweatshirt. And that gentleman also presents the award to the winning manager for Red Bull KTM. Red Bull KTM then, they may not have dominated the rostrum, but they've won the race. And Tony Skillington, I wonder how the charming man from Cork survives the heat. Well, he's doing so rather well. Now the FIM CMS director, it couldn't happen to him, a lovelier fella. Great to see him in a position of real purpose and influence in the FIM. He certainly needs someone of his guile, intelligence and experience up there. So we're either going to listen to the Dutch national anthem, in which case these lads will doff their cap, Welcome back to another next to Thailand. This is the gap before MXGP, but we're going to catch up with the men who joined Jeffrey Hurlings on the rostrum. The Swiss rider Jeremy Seewer and the Russian rider Alexander Tonkov, who both had brilliant days here in the heat of Thailand. For Jeremy Seewer, of course, a huge turnaround after really suffering with heat exhaustion 12 months ago.
Two guys are desperately trying to keep the...
ผลการแข่งขันใน MXGP นะครับที่จบไปในช่วงบ่ายโมงตรงนะครับในรุ่นใหญ่นั้นผมว่าผู้ชนะนั้นตกเป็นของหมายเลข 4
So it would seem that Jeremy Seewer was silent to you. It was as silent to you at home as he was to me here in the comms booth. So we'll have to can that one, unfortunately. I was looking forward to hearing what he had to say. Meantime, we're back here in this slightly desolate corner of the beautiful area of Thailand, in the central area of Thailand, where you'll find, believe it or not, the world's largest cement Buddha image, and also the world's largest bronze multi-spired building, together with Hell's Garden, with thousands of statues showing the punishment you get in the afterlife if Buddhist rules are broken on earth. How entertaining does that sound?